New Year's Eve weekend.
Yes.
New Year's Eve.
Yes. Yes. We
Another
we
trip
were
around the
actually
sun.
talking about I always like every year I see them, but I think they're so funny every year where it's like, let's everyone just walk into 2023 really quietly. Don't touch anything. Every year I see them, but I think they're funny every year. Nick and I were talking about, we went out to dinner last Saturday. We were supposed to do an ugly Christmas sweater party. So now Nick has an ugly Christmas sweater that, I of course threw the receipt away. It was $13 at Walmart, which is fine. But I made a bunch of I call them ice cream shots, but they're basically pudding shots. Mm-hmm. And they're Bailey's, milk, pudding mix, whipped cream vodka, like a couple different things. So now I have like 50 of them sitting in my freezer because it got canceled because the person that was hosting it got sick. And so Nick and I went out to dinner instead because we had childcare lined up. And so we were talking about New Year's Eve. And I was like, I remember when I would like dress up in a tiny little black outfit in the middle of winter in Chicago downtown and go out for New Year's Eve and pay more money than I could afford for some ridiculous package. Yep. And, try to get guys to buy me drinks. And thank God I don't do that anymore.
When we would dress up and go out, oh my God, one time my girlfriend had to sew me into my dress because the zipper broke.
And it's from like Charlotte Russe or something?
No, actually. This was when we worked for Target and we had a special. It was a designer from New York. It was a really pretty dress. It was like gold and black, but the zipper broke. So she sewed me into it.
Oh my God.
And we were staying at a hotel. We did one of those packages where you got a room and then went downstairs and danced and whatever. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. And then she had to cut me out of it when we got back upstairs.
That's hilarious.
Because we couldn't get it.
And I mean, like, in theory, all of that sounds like so much fun. But then I'm like, nah, I'd rather stay home.
Yeah. We're going to a friend's house, which we haven't gone out to a friend's house. We have hosted the past few years if we've done anything. If not, we've just been home. And we usually make really nice food, get a nice bottle of champagne.
Yep.
But I'm totally happy with my mother-in-law is back from Russia. We're giving her Marcus for the night, and we're going to one of our best friends.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
The reality is, like, we're up and out of there by like 7 a.m.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, Taylor's probably going to wake up at 6 a.m. either way. Yeah. And so, like, if I do drink anything, it'd be like maybe a couple glasses of wine. We have that advent calendar. Nick won that at the golf event. He won the wine advent calendar.
The one that is like half the price this year than was before.
Yes, it's like $50 this year. And so he gets so mad because he goes over to the box to like open the day and like try some wine because he drinks like a glass or so every night. And he's like, will you stop opening these? And I'm like, I just want to see what's in them. And then I put them back. And he gets so mad. I was like, I'm just curious. I can't wait. So I open all of them and then I just close the cardboard back. So
but how does he even know that you open it?
Well, the cardboard is serrated, so you can tell if someone actually opens them.
Well, maybe you're just trying to decide which day you'll actually partake.
I made a slow cooker recipe last week that needed white wine, so I had to open 4 of them before I got to a white wine one, so that I could take the white wine out and use it. But he got so mad. He's like, "Will you stop opening these?" Anyways, we wanted to end the year with a hard truth because that's what we do on Fridays. Mm-hmm. It's Friday Fire. And we want you to maybe think a little bit differently around how you approach your actions. And with the quote of what you are not changing, you are ultimately choosing. Because a lot of people think that, by not, giving up the alcohol or not exercising or doing these things, well, it's just hard. What if you flipped the script? I'm choosing not to exercise this morning. Or take it a step further, I'm choosing not to serve my body today. Whoa.
I'm choosing to continue the habits that I know are holding me back from the thing that I keep saying is really important for me to accomplish. It could be a physical goal, it could be anything. Whatever the distraction is that you're choosing. It could be TV. I'm choosing to watch TV instead of learn something, expand my mind, read a book, right? And here's the thing. We all want to watch TV now and then. But if you can't do both, or you find that it's gotten to a level that it's really hindering you from getting up in the morning to get your workout in, right? Then you need to remove that distraction. Social media. That's one thing that, again, I'm thinking about my word for 2023, the purpose and the intent. We're not supposed to post and ghost as like, what do they call us? Social media not influencers, but like whatever. We run our business on social media,
Yeah.
basically. I guess we're an influencer in ways. We just don't have thousands and thousands of
I don't
people
have
following
thousands
us.
of people following
so,
me.
you know, sometimes that I am posting, I find myself doing stupid things like scrolling for 5 minutes before I even post. I'm supposed to like be engaging and messaging people and this and that. Like there's so many
so many
rules.
things.
There's so many things. My husband's going to kill me. But I'm just saying like I find myself doing stupid things like wasting time scrolling on social media when I could be using that 5 minutes to fold a little laundry or,
Yep.
you know, read or meditate or do my visualization before I take my pre-workout and get out to the gym. Right. And like even the same thing with emails. I've done much better at this. But I found myself first thing checking emails in the morning. Then I want to put out all these fires that happen between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Like that's ridiculous, Liz. Get up, set your day. So that's one big thing that I'm trying to change, because by not changing it, I'm choosing to let those things take time out of my day that shouldn't be sucked up.
Yeah. And insert anything here, guys. Right. Like I'm, well, I just want to enjoy food for the night. Instead, say, I just want to eat food that makes me sick. Because ultimately, that's what a lot of people do when they go and quote unquote enjoy food. They go and eat the pizza or the fried foods or the foods that they know they have reactions to, or they drink the alcohol and then they sleep like crap. And then you wake up the next day and you're exhausted and you feel awful and you have all this guilt. Why not just start the guilt sooner? Mm-hmm. Just ask yourself the real question. Ask yourself or state the real thing. Like, I'm choosing to drink tonight. So I'm choosing to not sleep as well. And tomorrow I'm choosing to be tired. And I know that this sounds horrible, but like that's the reality of it, guys. We just try to dress it up with nicer words so that we don't feel so bad about it. Mm-hmm. And like there's no, again, I'm not saying this to be like a horrible, mean person. I hope that's not how it's coming off. I just think that sometimes we dance around what's reality to make ourselves feel better about not doing the hard things, about giving into our emotions, when emotions should really just be information, not directions. When you live off your emotions, you're going to live a rough life because emotions take you out of reality. I'm never saying to like be emotionless. That's not what I'm saying. Don't take our words to the extreme. Don't take them out of context, guys. Come on. What we're saying is that when you have the stressed emotion at the end of the day and you want, hold on. I'm sorry. Liz literally looks like she just saw a ghost.
I totally forgot. I put the chicken thighs in the oven. You're going to have to go get them.
I thought I smelled something cooking.
Oh, it's probably burnt to shit.
Liz,
I meant to set a
literally, and please keep that on the podcast because people go watch YouTube because I literally was like, oh my God, what's wrong? Oh my God.
I started smelling it. I'm getting really hungry. And I was like, oh shit. I forgot to set the alarm on the phone. I knew I should have set it on the microwave so that we would have heard it beeping.
It happens. That's like last night Nick was like, can you take the pork tenderloin out when it's done? And he has like a meat thermometer in it that is connected to Bluetooth and it beeps on his computer. And after a while I was like, I feel like it should be done. And I went and checked his computer and it didn't beep and it was like slightly over where it should have been. So it was still okay. But I was like, if I would have just gone off the beep, wouldn't have gotten it. Then I would have burned the dinner. But again, like you need to reverse it on yourself because when we live off the emotions and I have this stressed out, that stress that Liz just had, and then she wants a glass of wine because she's stressed. Well, guess what? Your stressed emotion is going to pass. But the decision to have that wine, now that's starting to impact the rest of your decisions later on in the day, that evening. Like you got to look at this from more of a reality point. And sure, take your emotions in, let them sit with you, feel them. You got to feel your emotions, right? But then face reality. What is reality? Reality is that I had a hard day. And after hard days, sure, do I want all the things to quote unquote make me feel better? Yes. But will those make me feel better? Not for very long. And in the end of it, it's probably going to actually make me feel worse. And so emotions are information. They are not directions. And you need to evaluate your day to day and ask yourself this question. What am I choosing not to change? And then start writing out. Be objective with it. Write it in a journal. I'm choosing to not go for a walk. I'm choosing to not move my body. I'm choosing to not meet my goals. Mm-hmm. It feels a lot more power when you use those kind of statements.
Yeah. And I think, thinking about why these things are so addictive is because what we talked about before, the dopamine, right? And so you have this feeling and then you've created a habit because you've allowed yourself to keep getting these hits of dopamine. And then what happens over time is that dopamine hit needs to be harder and harder. This is why people drink more and more and more, or need to smoke more and more and more, or need to eat more and more and more to get the same effect. Because you're not taking control and using, because if you really think about it, you can use these emotions, as Becca is saying, like it's not a direction. You get to choose which way you go. You can spin it and say, oh crap, I have had a really challenging day today, but I know that I have the ability to go and do something that makes me feel just as good to release the stress. And then I'll come home and all that will be behind me. And I will wake up tomorrow with a dopamine high off of being proud that I didn't turn to opening that bottle of wine or cookies or the ice cream or whatever it is, guys, whatever your vice is, And so really thinking about what are alternatives here. And I want you to be objective, as Becca was talking about, and really do this activity. And then I want you to continue to write that story. How am I going to feel if I continue this way? If you are okay with feeling the way that you feel now, maybe even worse, then you sign it and you write it off to this is what it is. Your goals, my goals really don't matter. That's the honest truth, because your actions speak louder than your words. You can tell me that your goal is to get stronger. You can tell me that your goal is to lose weight. You can tell me that your goal is to overcome whatever vice it is. But if your actions are not aligning in the least way, possible, there's no effort. And so you write that off. And if that's not what you want to choose differently, then you can rewrite it. And you can say, even though I don't feel like going for a walk, I am going to because I'm grateful that I have the ability to. And it's my choice, and the power is in my choice. Because every choice that you make will either take you one step closer or one step further from where you want to be and the type of person that you want to be. And it doesn't even have to be a physical composition. It's the type of person that you are. It's your self-development. It's, so much more than calories in, calories out,
Yeah, I would say if you want to read one book to start the year, my favorite is Atomic Habits.
I was going to say, Atomic Habits.
I might reread it at the beginning. I love that book so much. And it makes me think of basically every choice you make is the beginning of a new habit. And so you can, we've talked about identity on this podcast before. We've talked about how people identify as certain things. I identify as someone that, I never stick to things, or I never, I'm not a morning person, or, I'm so weak around chocolate. We create these identities for ourselves. And then you basically convince yourself to be that person. Instead of saying, I'm going to be the person that's strong around chocolate. And every time you are encountering that chocolate, you are creating that new habit. You are creating that stronger and stronger habit in that direction. But if you choose into the chocolate, okay, now I'm moving in the other direction. Now I'm going, you have to understand that literally we are encountered with so many choices in a day, and all of them give you the chance to move in one direction or the other. You have so much power. And so when you give that power to external things like chocolate or like your boss or your kids, listen, our kids can take a lot of power from us if you let them. And I'm not saying be mean to your kids or, disregard your children or don't give them attention. But I see so many new moms sadly just give in to that identity of the tired, overworked mom. And I'm not saying that that's not a reality by all means. Find help, find ways to, get outlet for yourself, take time for self-care for you. But we fall into these identities and then we basically live in them. And we act within them because that's who we think we are. And until you start to shift that thinking, until you start to shift that I'm powerless into I'm powerful, I have all the power, you're going to keep falling into those habits because ultimately you believe that.
Yeah. And you mentioned Atomic Habits. I couldn't agree more, but I would also add to that the book that I was just wrapping up before we left from vacation. It's called Start. And it talks about no matter where you're at in life, you have the ability right now to start whatever it is that you want. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be messy. But the reason that a lot of people don't ever achieve their goals is because they keep putting it off because they're waiting for the perfect time or perfect situation or, the ability to do X, Y, and Z or to get to the gym 4 days a week. You can do anything right now. You could start by doing squats in your living room, right? You could start by doing lunges around your house. You could start by just getting outside and going for a walk. You can start literally anything that you want to accomplish right now. And so I would recommend both of those books. Follow up, one with the other, however you want to do that. But he does talk a bit in there about habits and stacking habits and habit building and all of those things. So that would be an additional one. If you've read The Power of or The Atomic Habits already and you want something a little bit different, that would be the book that I would recommend. So that's what we got for you guys today. We just really want you to think objectively, again, no judgment, no shame. But I asked this question a few weeks ago on the podcast, like, how do you want to enter into 2024? Do you want to enter it differently than you're entering 2023? Then you've got to do things differently in 2023. And that starts with your choices.